Hey there friends and welcome to LaughNapkin. My name is Frank, and today we'll be looking at the subreddit r/ProRevenge. If you're new around here and enjoy these Reddit stories, then be sure to subscribe for future videos. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This first story comes from user T-Bird Kamikaze. This sub has gotten me through a lot of boredom and has provided me with hours of entertainment. I figure it's my turn to tell my revenge story. So it's been about 4 years since this happened. I was about 18 at the time, working for a security company. There were constant call-offs and no-shows. Have no idea why, but being so young and naive, I was constantly working 16-hour shifts and not coming home until 8 a.m. Also, I lived with my father at the time. The time frame of this was around the 4th of July. I finally had a day off, and my best friend was back in town for vacation. We decided to get together and chip in on some good old American fireworks. To be fair, I have had nothing but bad experiences with fireworks, so I had no idea how this would be any different. We got home with the fireworks and we laid them all out on the floor. Sparklers, bottle rockets, cakes, and Roman candles. I say, why don't we mess around with some sparklers since it's still not dark yet? Great idea. We go into my backyard where it hasn't rained in well over 2 months, and it is extremely dry. You see the problem here? One of the little sparkies from mine and my friend's sparkler made contact with the ground and made 2 small fires that quickly spread to a large area. I ran as fast as I could to grab the garden hose and quickly started spraying down the fire. It was no use. It was spreading faster than I could spray. I handed my friend the hose and called 911. What felt like hours was only 4 minutes, and the fire was spreading to the neighbor's fence. The neighbor came outside and they were fairly calm to grab their hose and spray down the fence along with the dead grass in her yard. The fire department shows up finally, and I tell my friend, only one of us needs to get in trouble. You should leave. He was reluctant to leave because he felt equally responsible, but I convinced him. I didn't want him to get in trouble and have to drop out of college. My neighbor was super chill about the entire situation at first. I told her we could talk about replacing the fence and get some quotes to repair it. She was just super grateful that everyone was okay. About 2 hours after the fire, the arson/fire investigator came to question me about the fire. I told him the truth. I said I was in the backyard by myself, playing with fireworks, and accidentally lit the ground on fire. I had gotten off that day without being hit with any charges, and was commended for being honest. Here's where it goes downhill very fast. About a week later, I get a knock on the door from the neighbor. I open the door and she hands me 2 pieces of paper for me to look at. There was a quote for the fence valued at around $4,000 and an estimate for lawn care valued around $6,000. These were really shady and just typed out on a Microsoft Word document. No logo or company name. She then adds, I'll also be having you pay my water bill for 3 months because the new yard will need lots of water. Now the fence this woman had before was raggedy and falling apart. Her yard? Dead grass, weeds everywhere, never mowed it. Now looking at this paper, she wants a mahogany fence and a brand new backyard with flowers and trimmed hedges? I said, I need to get an estimate myself. This doesn't feel right. She says, remember, you agreed to replace my fence, and a real man keeps promises. I shut the door and called my dad to tell him about what just happened. He flipped the F out and told me, son, don't you give that woman a single dime. He gives me the number to his handyman and tells me to take care of it. The next day I had the guy come out for an estimate, and the neighbor ran outside flailing her arms. I did not give you permission to get an estimate on my fence. Technically it separates the property line, so it's both our fences. She calls the cops on me for having a contractor, and they ultimately can't do a single thing because I'm on my property. He quickly finishes the estimate off at $1,200. I also knew a guy who did lawn care from my time working at the grocery store. He estimated the lawn reseeding while she was away from the house to be about $800. After I get these estimates, I give copies to the woman and she's having none of it. I don't know these people. I don't want them near my house. They're probably really crappy contractors. I said, no, I know them personally. They're all really nice people and do great work. She shut the door in my face, and I went on my way. I ended up working a 16-hour shift that night and got home at 8 a.m. And this woman comes knocking on my door at 9 a.m. and demanded I speak to her. I explained, I would really love to do this, but I just got home and have to be back at work in less than 5 hours. I need to sleep. She goes, what kind of lazy asshat sleeps until 2 p.m.? At this point, I had just about lost it and told her, you can either accept my $2,000 for my quotes or kiss my booty and get nothing. She stood there for a while with her mouth gaped open, but she accepted my offer and planned to meet down at the notary the next morning. I spent that night after I got off work writing a contract and gathering the $2,000 in cash. The next morning I wake up, I grab this contract to meet down at the notary. I was thrilled to finally be done with this broad and never speak to her again. I waited for her for over 3 hours and she didn't show up. I get a call from her saying, I'm sorry, the $2,000 isn't enough. I'm having my guys start work on this project and you'll be paying me full price. Oh, really? After that, I didn't say a single word to her. I just watched for a few months as these guys turned her backyard into an oasis, complete with a small pond, brand new sod and flowers, the whole 9 yards. Come to find out, she has had plans to remodel these things for a long time and was just waiting for the opportunity to go through with it. Also in this time, she used her remodeling funds to go on a trip to Hawaii. You know how I found out about this? She was bragging about it on the neighborhood Facebook group and didn't know I was in it. I have a different Facebook name than my real name. Are you ready for the revenge? Now, 4 months after the fire and all the remodels, I get served papers to go to court for $10,300. At 18 years old, I'm having to hire a lawyer to work my case. When we finally do get into court, I lay everything out. The quotes, being harassed multiple times, not showing up after agreeing to a deal, not wanting me to get my own quotes, required by law by the way, and her bragging about screwing me out of money, and I have proof of all this. The judge looked at her and said, ma'am, with all due respect, you're out of your dadgum mind. Not only did this young man tell you the truth of what happened, he offered to pay you more than he was supposed to. Your lawn was already dead before the fire occurred, therefore he's only responsible for the fence of $1,200. I'll also deduct from this his lawyer fees, $800. So I burned this woman's fence down and all I'm having to give her is $400? Cool. She took a huge financial loss from this. Not sure how much the Hawaii trip cost her, but she was in serious debt. She ended up having to sell the house because of it and moved into a smaller house. Haven't heard anything from her since. Now this is what's up. For an 18-year-old, OP sure knows how to stand his ground and fight back. I couldn't be happier with the outcome of this story. Hit that like button right now if you enjoyed this story as well. This next story comes from user Terrible Mystery. Today I thought I'd share the story of Sam. Not the real name. Sam does not make friends easily. He's not good at small talk, and to make things worse, he's suspicious of people who are too friendly for the reasons below. Sam made a lot of money at a young age. Not going to say exactly what he did because I don't want him tracked down, but he made something that made him rich. Being a smart guy, Sam invested most of the money in long-term investments that'll pay out a reasonable amount each month until he dies. So he doesn't live a rich life, but he never has to work again. A few years after his windfall, he got bored and decided to go back to college. There, he met people who enthusiastically pursued friendship with him. Making friends with them was so easy that for a while, he was happy. He didn't find out until later that they had learned about his wealth by searching for his name online. It started small. Occasionally, one of them would be short on some money and ask Sam for a loan, then blow it off when he asked for it back. Sam started to get concerned, but he didn't want to lose his new friends. Then they all decided to go on a vacation together to a well-known amusement park. They pressured him into paying for the tickets, flight, and hotel rooms. Sam tried to explain that month to month he wasn't getting enough money to pay for all this stuff, but they swore to him that he would be repaid and ramped up the social pressure on him. He eventually caved and took an advance on his next month's payment to pay for the vacation. Then, as if all of that wasn't bad enough, they ditched him for most of the vacation. Whenever he tried to hang out with them, they told him, "We made some plans to meet these other guys," or "We already ate." By the end of the vacation, Sam was forced to face the fact that they weren't really his friends. Sam was angry, and he had an idea while reading the local news. A local restaurant had created a dish that cost $1,000. It was mostly a publicity stunt, copying another restaurant that had gained a lot of publicity by doing the same thing. But Sam understood that his friends saw him as their ticket to the rich life. Sam started making sure that his friends saw mentions of this overpriced dish several times a day, and eventually it worked. They started suggesting to him that they should all go and try this dish. Sam made it clear to them that he was still paying off the vacation, and although he could get together enough cash to buy it for himself, he couldn't pay for their meals. They all said they understood, although they looked a little worried. He never overheard them saying it, but he knew they confused being a millionaire with having $1 million sitting in your checking account. The day of the meal came, and they all ordered this $1,000 dish. The restaurant's manager came out and asked them if they were certain they had the funds to purchase this meal. Each of them confirmed that they had the money and were ready to pay. Sam can't remember what was in the meal, but he said it tasted salty and slimy, like French fries soaked in water. As the end of the meal grew near, the friends seemed to be more and more nervous. At the end of the meal, everyone handed over their debit cards. Sam's cleared, and every other card was denied. They turned to Sam, saying things like, "I don't know why it was declined. Can you help us out?" One of them just slid her bill over to Sam with a smug grin. Sam replied honestly, "I don't have enough money in my checking account to cover your bills." He stood up and started to walk out. One of them called out, "You can't just leave us like this." He replied, "I made some plans to meet up with other guys." Sam left because he didn't want anyone else to try to make him pay for their meals. He only found out afterward that the cops were called by the manager. The friends weren't arrested, but a police report was filed and they had to go to court. They had to pay both the restaurant bill and a large fine. Because they were in legal trouble, the university put them on probation. The best part, however, is that Sam told as many people as possible that they had tried to run out on a bill, which is the crime that they were going to court and on probation for. Sam figured that most people wouldn't want to hear the whole story, and he was a little embarrassed that he had been taken in. So he simplified it and implied that they were simply trying to sneak out of a restaurant. To their fellow college students, this was enough to turn the friends into pariahs. Poor Sam! I feel for this dude. No one deserves to be taken advantage of like this. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to tell me what your thoughts are about these stories in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you love tacos. And I will see you in the next one.